What if I were to tell you that Southern California is currently being poisoned by invisible man-made toxin and it's only getting worse year by year? Well, this invisible man-made toxin can be attributed to air pollution. Air pollution, specifically caused by human activities, introduces harmful substances into the environment such as chemicals and gases. And this pollution is a momentous issue that harms the region's diverse and fragile ecosystems from the coasts of Santa Monica Bay to the forests of Sequoia National Park. It also endangers public health, especially minority groups who are more susceptible due to their social, economic, and political disadvantages. But what is causing this year by year burgeoning of pollution that is so visibly devastating the SoCal community? And what can be done to lower air pollution and to save the ecosystems and the health of citizens of Southern California? Our group chose this topic because of our uniform affection and inspiration with the beauty, uniqueness, and potential of Southern California. This is a place where we have created our memories, where we have lived throughout our whole lives. And we chose to focus on the pressing issue of air pollution because we saw air pollution as the main factor which is potentially thwarting the beauty, the uniqueness, the potential of Southern California. The problem of air pollution is ever increasing and poses to devastate this community that we cherish and we love, motivating us to raise awareness and to inform and propose our own solutions.
Since the Industrial Revolution and even before then, smoke, smog, fumes, air pollution had begun to build up. So much so that in LA one day in 1903, the smoke was so thick that it was mistaken for an eclipse of the sun. Soon after, the LA City Council began its war on air pollution. However, as time went on and our technology evolved, the measures put in place became obsolete. A problem that was once dominated by factories producing weapons of war is now dominated by millions of vehicles and hundreds of warehouses. Southern California, being the hub of activity that it is, accumulates much of this air pollution. Its dry and arid land promotes the building of warehouses and malls over things like parks and outdoor recreational areas. The same attribute that makes Southern California's land favorable for building warehouses is also what makes our land so much more vulnerable to air pollution and its effects. Though not only is our land vulnerable, but so are our people, or more specifically, our minorities. These polluting areas include warehouses, like I previously stated, but also freeways and railways, which are usually conveniently near or even in low income neighborhoods. These areas can also be by parks and schools, exposing children, a vulnerable age group, to these pollutants. If this problem with air pollution continues, issues in our environment's health as well as our communities will continue to worsen over time. A very prominent issue in Southern California is our wildfires. The recent Bridge Fire and Line Fire are just two of many that have swept this region. According to a case study in the San Bernardino Mountains, air pollution can enhance tree susceptibility to drought, bark beetles, and disease, and when combined, create a whole ecosystem susceptibility to wildfire. So, air pollution messes with our trees, making them vulnerable to fire, and the wildfires that then ensue cause more air pollution. In addition to the possible immolation of our ecosystems, there's also the health aspect of continued air pollution. The long-term exposure of children to these airborne particles has been linked to reduced lung function and overall smaller lungs at age 18 when compared to other children of the same age who lived in lesser polluted areas. Health defects like these will only become more common as pollution continues and even gets worse in Southern California.
The main objective of addressing air pollution in Southern California is to improve air quality, protect the public health, and mitigate the societal and environmental impacts that the air pollution causes. This includes the disproportionate effect that air pollution has on minority and low income families. A current solution that is in place in California is the current vehicle emission standards that reduce air pollution. In a study on PM 2.5 exposure, Kulik states that there has been a 65% reduction on average statewide exposure to this particle. However, the relative disparities have actually increased for people of color and overburdened communities. This can be seen on this graph, where white individuals are, on average, exposed to much less PM 2.5 particles compared to Hispanic, Black, and Asian individuals. So, while the overall pollution levels have decreased, these benefits are not seen equally throughout the community. A solution that our group thought of is a type of low emission zone that uses current air pollution data to control the access fees for high polluting vehicles. These would be placed in areas where there's both high pollution and a high concentration of overburdened individuals. We decided to pair this with a public transportation price break that will be funded using the revenue generated from this low emission zone. We also decided that fee exemptions should be made for individuals who have a low income and also need to use their personal vehicles for things such as work or school. Since there are no sweeping restrictions, this should lower pollution without interfering with the residents too much. Our proposed process for our original solution can be broken down into 3 categories: timeline, budget, and other logistics. For our timeline, we decided to look at a similar project that is being done in the UK. This is London's ultra-low emission zone, where any polluting vehicles are charged for moving through the area. Our solution uses this solution as a baseline and builds upon it, so it will likely take a couple years more. We estimate anywhere from 5 to 8 years for us to fully implement our project. Years 1 through 2 will be fully dedicated to research and planning, where we will develop a pilot project outline and consult with local governments. For years 3 to 4, we aim to secure funding for our solution through government grants and other donations given to us by the community. In years 5 through 8, we aim to test our variable access fee system and tweak it accordingly, while also slowly rolling out our emission zones and gathering community feedback, making adjustments as needed. Moving on to the budget, we estimate the money needed for the small-scale implementation of our project to be anywhere from $5 to $20 million. Eventually, with enough public support, we would be able to grow our emission zone to roughly the same size as London's. If this is done, we can estimate our yearly income using the ITDP, which states that London's yearly revenue from the ultra-low emission zone was $140 million US in 2021 to 2022. With this kind of revenue, we would be able to either further expand our emission zones or fund many other air pollution solutions that would further reduce air pollution. Some other logistical considerations include data infrastructure, partnerships, community engagement, and legal frameworks. For data infrastructure, we would need to implement real-time air quality monitoring systems, which would then send us the air pollution level at that specific time. This would then tell us how high we needed to make the fee for entering the zone, which would be available online. We would also need the license plate camera in order to find who actually crossed the emission zone, and so we know who to find. For partnerships, we would ideally partner with an electric vehicle company that would rent us shuttles or bikes to increase low polluting public transportation. For community engagement, we would host general Q&A sessions, which would hopefully get most of their concerns out of the way. Now, for legal frameworks, we would like to define the vehicle pollution thresholds for the fees and also establish penalties for any of the violations.
The increase of industrial pollution through the rapid expansion of warehouses and traffic presents health issues for susceptible people such as children and the elderly who have weaker immune systems, and for minority groups who are in closer proximity of sites of heavy pollution emissions. Additionally, air pollution causes an uptick of droughts, wildfires, and bark beetle infestations, which are damaging Southern California's ecosystems. To address these challenges, we propose a $5 to $20 million solution of promoting and facilitating the use of public transportation through fare reductions and imposing fees on high polluting vehicles, particularly in vulnerable areas, with exemptions for low-income individuals. The solution involves minimum disruption and intervention to the lives of residents. The complacency and inaction in regards to air pollution in Southern California is to gamble with the health of the environments and of residents. And action must be done now to reduce the current consequences of air pollution and to thwart any long-term irreversible consequences. Today, a critical dilemma presents itself to this community. Will we continue down the path of injustice, short-sightedness, and future regret, or will we unite and to go down the path of justice and prudence? Nevertheless, we are hopeful that by coming together, Southern California will progress into a safe, clean, and just haven for all its citizens.